Hey, good evening, guys. Good evening. Give me a shout if you can hear me okay. How's everybody? Good evening, Brett. Love the stream and the channel. Commander, I've been collecting blood since the 2nd edition. Your channel reminds me of those days. Maybe it's the synth track. I mean, I've been collecting since 2nd edition. My painting hopefully reminds people of 2nd edition. But good evening. It's painting time, indeed it is. Quite warm in here tonight, actually. I just opened the window, so may have to take my shirt off in a minute. Probably actually going to do that now, actually. I've got a couple extra lights in here to try and make it easier. I'm trying to make the stream better, I guess. So a few extra lights means it gets pretty warm. God, my glasses are filthy. I've had a busy day. I am kicking ass. Check this out. Look at this. 20,000 steps I've done today. 9.7 miles. I've been kicking ass. Good evening, Hot Water. Good evening, Rose. How you guys doing? I'm going to be starting by just doing some washes on my Sanguinary Guard bases that I made the other night, and then I'm going to try and work a little bit on these Aggressors further. If I do get up at one point, good evening, Patman, it will just be to quickly move my daughter from her own bedroom to my wife's bedroom. So if you see me run AFK, that'll be why. I'll only be gone for like 1 minute. Okay, so these Sanguinary Guard are not finished in any way, shape or form, but I've been basing them because I've got a tournament coming up, and one of the stipulations for the tournament is that obviously the models need to be based. So these Aggressors need based as well, but I'm just doing like 3 colours and basing on a couple of models so that if I'm not ready for the tournament, I can still... I hate painting the night before tournaments. I just don't do it. I just make sure that I'm never in the situation where I have to do it, I guess. How are you liking the Night Codex? I've had about 10 minutes to read it today, Rizio. So I guess in terms of like how I'm liking it, I don't really know. The only time I had to read it was about 10 minutes, but in between like doing a million DIY jobs and starting dinner, so I haven't checked out. I did message Mark and Tony and ask them like what pages do I really need to read, like what's going to be the best way to look at free blades. But yeah, I mean, I could go and, you know what, if my daughter wakes up, I'll run and grab the Night Codex as well, so I've got it in front of me, because it's in the living room, because I was trying desperately to read some of it earlier. Tell me, you've got the Night Codex, have you had a chance to dig into it? What's good? Your painting's very retro. Yeah, I mean, all my models are kind of retro in terms of colours and looks. I like the way they used to look. The only thing I don't like about the way they used to look is the goblin green bases. And my guys used to actually have goblin green bases, but I decided at some point to upgrade them all to this sort of brown texture paint thing that I've got going on now. I did have a flick through and noticed that some things had changed, like I think the thermal cannon is now D6 plus 2. And I also noticed there's a cannon that they can get that's like, is it D6 plus 8? D6 plus 8 on a weapon sounds pretty tasty, huh? Craig says, hey Commander, new sub here, Necron player here, but I love your videos in Mathhammer style. How do you fare facing Necrons? I tend to do okay against Space Marines with my Novok build. I mean, I only have one friend that really plays Necrons in my meta, so out with facing them at a tournament. You know, that's a lie, Andrew plays Necrons as well, but usually when Andrew plays Necrons, he goes for like giant squads of warriors. You used to run them with the gauze rifles, right? Because they were like strength 5 -2, I think. Like the ones that basically, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was called gauze reapers, gauze rifles, something like that. But I mean, I don't know how strong Necrons are into Marines since Armor of Contempt. I've certainly not played into them, and Blood Angels I feel fare okay into Necrons. I mean, Necrons to me at the moment, well, I feel like they're maybe not the most super powerful army, and they definitely. It's like, if you roll really hot on your reanimations, they can be good, but if you're not rolling hot on your reanimations, I feel like they're not that amazing. I mean, the Nightbringer and the Void Dragon and that sort of can pose a challenge because of the wounds per phase limitations. But typically I haven't had too many troubles with Necrons. What exactly is a Novok build, Craig? Is it like a trait, or is it a bunch of different units? I like how your models just pop so much on the battle reports. But I mean, maybe that's just because I paint them in bright red as opposed to Mephiston red. Villic. I like. It used to be called Blood Red way back in the day. It used to be called Blood Red before they introduced Mephiston red. And I think Blood Red is actually closer to Evil Sun Scarlet than Mephiston Red, and I like Evil Sun. I like it. Good evening, Foz, no problem. I don't expect you guys to tune into every live stream, but if you are here, it's cool. If you can't make it, don't even worry about it. James, thank you so much for subscribing. We are getting super close to 10,000 subscribers. Maybe like 30 away now or something. It's exciting, I'm excited. If I sound a little bit quieter or a little... I'm just exhausted today. I decided to go on a hill walk. I left my house at 8 o'clock this morning to go on a pretty large hill walk, and then had a million chores to do today, so... it's probably the most steps I've done this year. What was that? Yeah, 20,900 steps today. 1,500 calories. Alright. 163 minutes of exercise. Yeah. I don't usually do more than like 30 minutes of exercise, so 163. I was feeling pretty tired earlier. I actually had a killer of a headache as well. It's the melee focused Necrons. I mean, when you play against Blood Angels, typically you don't want to be in melee because we will crush things in melee. So, I mean, John's run like some melee Necron units on the channel a couple of times, and I mean they've seemed fine, but the +1 to wound and the large AP we get in melee and the amount of 2 damage we get typically mean I'm not sure if I'm scared against Necron melee. Maybe some other Space Marine chapters are, but for me, like, my whole game plan revolves around getting into melee. So if you're gonna just come to me, then that's all well and good with me, right? Is close combat an extra 1 AP in combat? I mean, your extra 1 AP in combat will do nothing against Marines now, right? We just ignore we ignore 1 AP on every attack. I mixed Mephiston with 1/1 Wild Rider to get my Blood Red. You know, that's probably pretty close. Good evening, Daniel. How you doing? Or Anthony Brown. I don't know why I said Daniel. I'm a bit tired tonight. Necrons get more AP out of melee than they do in shooting, so melee Necrons are a little better after the AOC. Okay. But I mean, the same still stands, right? Like, we have ways that can make you fight last, we have ways of getting like crazy amounts of AP, and I mean, my army thrives on being in melee combat. Like, I don't do any damage in the shooting phase. I mean, in the shooting phase against Andrew's Tau, just this week past, I killed 1 shield drone. That was it, 12-point model. I shot my entire army and killed 1 model that was worth 12 points. So like, I don't do anything typically in the shooting phase. My damage comes in close combat phase. But yeah, I could imagine that you'd be better into some of the other melee chapters for sure. Sorry, some of the other non-melee chapters, what I meant to say. Good evening, DTM, how you doing? I saw that you subscribed to the Plastic Crackhead, not the Plastic Crackhead, sorry DTM, I saw you subscribe to the 3 Grots this week. Thank you so much for supporting us over there, I do appreciate it. We just passed 600 subscribers on the podcast, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty happy about that. We've been doing it for like 6 months, so growth is maybe a little slower than what we hoped, but we'll get to 1,000 soon enough, I'm guessing. Alright, I think all I'm doing on the Sanguinary Guard tonight is what I've done. Is the bases, so that they have been based. Scorpex can be pretty brutal. Yeah, I mean, I guess they can. I mean, if you make them fight last, are they so brutal? That's the great thing about Blood Angels, is being able to make anything fight last across the entire board, right? Yo, sometimes, do you know what? I swear YouTube sometimes loses people's subscriptions, because I'm sure I've subscribed to a few channels and then I've not seen any videos from them for ages. And I've been like, you know, I haven't seen a video from channel X, Y, or Z in ages, you know, I'm gonna go check them out. And then I go check them out and it's like, you aren't subscribed. And I was like, really? I'm sure I was subscribed to that channel. So I think sometimes YouTube loses people's subscriptions. And I'm sure someone reported it as a bug, and they were like, no, there's no bug with subscriptions. Do you have any tips on how to paint hazard stripes? I mean, I do them freehand, and I would say paint the yellow first, because painting over the top of black with yellow is a complete nightmare. So my advice would just be to paint the area that you're going to hazard stripe yellow first, get nice and solid, and then make the hazard stripes black. Some people do masking tape or something like that. I suppose it depends on how good your freehand is, but yeah, definitely paint the yellow first. 1mm masking tape says, I don't even know you got masking tape that small, but I guess that's the answer, really thin masking tape. You might need to like order that on Amazon. I'm not sure I've ever seen that in like a hardware store, because that's somewhere you usually be able to get like some of your hobby supplies, as a hardware store, right? Good evening, Robert. And for hazard stripe, there's masking tape designed for miniature use. Well, that's what you need then, I guess. And paint your yellow first, because painting over black is going to be nearly impossible. With yellow anyway. Unless you're happy to do multiple coats. Good evening, Dino, how you doing? Does anyone have good tips for Sanguinary Guard? In what way? And what tips do you need to know? Like, tips on painting them, tips on getting the most out of the tabletop, what are you looking for? I guess there's a lot. Rephrase your question and we'll see what we can do. So I'm going to do a second coat on all the armor pieces here that are like the joints. I'm going to do all these joints in Mechanicus standard grey, and then once I'm done with all the joint armor, then I'll wash it with Nuln Oil. And I tend to give it 2 coats of Nuln Oil as well. First things first is to get the second coat of the Mechanicus standard grey on there. try and just make a better overall coverage. Greetings, Island Phoenix. Good evening. How you doing? Greetings, Mr. Diablo. Good evening. Good evening. Let me know what you guys are painting tonight if you are doing some hobby. I always do hobby on the channel. Saturday nights. Sometimes we do Thursday nights. It's like every second week we do hobby on Thursday night, but Saturday night for me is always some hobby time. I'm actually really enjoying painting Aggressors after being stuck painting Terminators for the last, like, however long it was. Felt like 3 months. It probably was 3 months. Aggressors are... I mean, Primaris Marines are nice and easy to paint, right? They're quite large. They have too many details. Quite enjoy painting Primaris Marines. How to use them well on the tabletop, says Hotwater. Hide them in obscuring positions in turn 1 for sure, and then turn 2 try and find like a piece of terrain. I mean, what you should really be looking for is a piece of terrain somewhere near the middle of the board that's going to give the Sanguinary Guard like a position that they can hide behind and then threaten into the enemy side of the board. That's, you know, that's pretty much precisely what you should be looking for with Sanguinary Guard. Sanguinary Guard get killed very quickly if they're ever in the open, and people will shoot you their whole army at them because they know how much damage they do in melee combat. So my advice for you really is to try and... you want to hide them. I don't know what that is on that model. Oh, is it just strange? I don't know if I just fucked up when I was snipping this model or what. Missed a bit, I guess. I need to touch that back up with red. I'll do that in a second. But yeah, I mean, if you watch any of my live games where I use Sanguinary Guard, you'll usually see them, the entire squad, hidden in an obscuring piece of terrain. And I try and get them as far forward across the board as you can, so... I mean, they're more survivable than they were, but I would still say they're not a survivable unit in any sense of the word, really. So it's all about hiding them, getting them far forward, and then making the charges that way. I mean, sometimes you can even sit in the obscuring terrain as well, and if there's an objective on the other side of it, wait for the opponent to go into the objective and then heroically intervene in. I mean, that can be valuable as well. I think the biggest strength of the Sanguinary Guard is their movement speed, right? I found as a base coat, a black base coat with yellow zenithal highlights is a great place for Blood Angels contrast paint. I have the Blood Angels contrast paint, but do you know what? I've not really used it that much. I've never like done a model from scratch with the contrast paint. John's finishing some Plasma Inceptors. Anthony's doing some Plasma Inceptors. Nathan got some Armigers today and my Imperial Knight Codex, currently building the first one. Nice. So you guys that have read the Imperial Knight Codex, tell me about it. Tell me what's how do you do this free blade stuff, and like does the free, like I literally got 10 minutes to look through it today. It sounds like free blades don't get relic, warlord traits, sorry. Can they get relics? You know, what's the extent of the free blades? Like, what can they get? And can you take armigers as free blades? Like a squad of 3 of them, or how does that work? TTM's making swanky bases tonight. Miguel's painting Death Company. Billick is going to buy more Death Company. I mean, Death Company are a cool unit, right? Manuel just recently forced himself to finish a 2,000 Suns list for a tournament, so I'm trying to pick up my brush again rather than play Chaos Gate. Fair enough. Do you know what? I've not played Chaos Gate since I think it was last Friday night. I was enjoying it. I'll maybe see if we can get a game of Chaos Gate like next weekend or something. It's a cool game though. If you haven't checked out Chaos Gate, it's on Steam. Sometimes I hate painting these little crotch pads, whatever you would call them. Raziel's making fajitas. Well, I mean, I guess that counts. Christian says, "Hi John, hope you're okay." With a White Scar joining to watch. Yeah, of course, man. I wonder when White Scars are going to get their new codex, huh? Because I bet it's going to be good. I mean, White Scars already got some cool stuff last edition, you know, like Advance and Charge, and there's a bunch of things like, I think you can make your Chaplain on the White Scars do like a flat 5 damage, right? So I'm interested to see actually what they give White Scars this time round. I imagine White Scars are going to be pretty strong again when they get their... well, it's not a codex, is it? It's technically a codex supplement, I guess. The cod piece, yeah, that's what I'm painting. I guess it depends if you decide to stick your models onto the bases and paint them on their bases. I very rarely paint my model. Well, I never paint my models in sub-assemblies, I guess. I've done it 1 or 2 times and I wasn't a big fan, so. I know some people who swear by it though. Like they literally only paint models in sub-assemblies. Three armigers equals 1 free blade and counts as 15 models for OBSEC. They are relatively cheap for what you can equip them with blade or guns. I did know that they count for 5 for OBSEC. The big knights count for 10 though, right? They just don't have OBSEC. I'm going to try and dive into Knight's Codex a little bit more tomorrow. Sunday is a little bit quieter for me usually. Usually end up doing a lot of family stuff on a Saturday. Gavin says Librarian Dreadnought worth taking, don't see it on any lists. I mean, he's expensive, Gavin, which I guess is the reason that maybe you don't see it on many lists. I mean, he definitely got better with the Armor of Contempt change, right? Like, one of his biggest weaknesses before was, like, he only had a 3-up save and no invulnerable save. Well, Armor of Contempt goes a long way to helping fix that problem, because, like, now you have basically, ignore -1 AP, so you can just save a bit more reliably, I guess? So yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Librarian Dreadnought. I've got one. I was using it like a year ago pretty consistently, I guess. But yeah, we haven't seen them too much. I mean, I guess there's just a lot of high EP stuff running around at the moment in the meta, so if there's a ton of high EP stuff running around, then he doesn't cope so well with that, right? I mean, he copes a little bit better since the Armor of Contempt change, but still not great, I guess. People were also really relying on Null Zone. 6 months ago, people were really like, Null Zone, Null Zone, Null Zone, and the Librarian Dreadnought can't take that, but I think that's maybe... I don't know if Null Zone is as important as it once was. I mean, some people probably still swear by Null Zone. In my strategy, I've kind of moved away from it. Greetings, Camille. Good evening. How you doing? James did a little hobby this afternoon, magnetized an Admech Cataphron. Probably saying some of those things wrong. I'm not super familiar with all these other armies and how you pronounce their names. I don't believe Allied Knights get Warlord traits relics and they can only be free blades. Means they get 1 chapter tactic ability, essentially. The big knights are 10 without OBSEC. Is the family doing well? Yeah, family's doing fine, man. They keep me on my toes, I guess, the family. But yeah, no. Apart from like multiple toddler tantrums today, the family's doing well. I don't know if you would count a tantrum as a reason for the family not doing well. Do you reckon we'll see more melee chapters using knights? I mean, I think a shooting knight could actually be pretty beneficial to a melee chapter. I'm going to try and dig into it and see what... I mean, one of the... Is it the Castellan? Has a gun that's 8 plus D6? And it's like D3 shots as well? I was like, wow, that seems pretty fucking good. So that one gun in one turn could do 42 damage. I'm pretty sure it was like strength 14 or strength 16 -5, right? You still remember the game where I null zoned Mortarion? I think it was a turn 1 null zone of Mortarion. We killed him in turn 1, wasn't it? I mean, I guess sometimes null zone still has play like that. I think people are... It's maybe a little bit like the Sanguinary Priest, though. People are getting smart. People know that that's something that Space Marines have in their arsenal, so if you come up against people, they'll try their best to basically deny you doing that. The End just finished a custom chapter Assault Space Marine. Post in Discord. Yeah, if any of you guys aren't in our Discord group, please check out the video descriptions that include the Discord link, because we're building quite a big community over on Discord. Would a Primaris chaplain on a bike be any good for Blood Angels? I mean, it's one of the best characters that you can field, I would guess, and as a Space Marine player in 9th. A lot of people swear by the Primaris chaplain on a bike. He's in a lot of competitive lists. People usually put him as the Warlord and gear him up with like 2 Warlord traits, and they take a relic as well. Sometimes they use that Warlord trait that lets you take that second relic, so you can have 1 Warlord trait and 2 relics. And I mean, the chaplain you can upgrade to be... Oh, it's my daughter up, I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, chaplain on the bike. It's a good unit. I see no reason not to run it. If you're on the fence about buying it, I'd probably say buy it, because yeah, a lot of people have won tournaments with the chaplain on the bike. I don't run it, but I mean, I play Blood Angels differently to other people. I've run it before. I actually ran it in a tournament as well. I kept him nice and cheap in the tournament, didn't make him the wise orator, just ran him as sort of like a smaller beat stick type character, and just gave him the Warlord trait, Iron Resolve, because then I think he has 8 wounds and a 6-up shrug, and just used him as like a... I used him as a pest, I guess, to like contest like flank objectives with a squad of Vanguard veterans. He did fine. I don't dislike him at all. The end tried to do glowing plasma with object source lighting. How did you get on with that? How do you feel about it at the end? Will you do it again? I don't think I'll ever be good enough to paint on object source lighting. Christian, I mean, for White Scars, Christian chaplain on a bike is amazing. I think he's better for White Scars than he is for Blood Angels, right? Or I guess he fills a different role. For White Scars, he's much more like a beat stick, whereas Blood Angels, we can make him like supremely tanky, I guess. Admech and Ultramarines get the bonus of having Primarch and Supreme Commander that can give reroll or repair the Imperial Knight they take, which is annoying as a Blood Angels player. Yeah, I mean, I guess because the Knight will have the Imperium rule, right? But, well, do Knights have the core keyword? Are they core? Or does Gilliman's thing not... Oh, Gilliman's... The Ultramarines book is outdated. It's an 8th edition book, right? So it probably actually doesn't mention core, I guess. That's probably an oversight. They'll probably fix that. I imagine that Gilliman will just benefit core models when the Ultramarines get their 9th edition book. I think there's something that White Scars can do as well on the Bite Chaplain to make his weapon do flat 5 damage, if I'm correct. One of my channel members, Emperor's Son, was telling me about it. He was a big Blood Angels player, but he's been running White Scars recently because he thinks they're really strong. Does the stream have the autism keyword? What is that supposed to mean? Is it... If you're making fun of my reading and my language, that's absolutely fine. I'm not... I mean, people make fun of my English. If you don't realise this, I'm actually not English, so my English isn't that good. Well, it's not my language. But yeah, I mean, feel free to make fun of me, I guess. I'm not worried about it. Armigers are core, but it doesn't help with Agents of Imperium, does it? I actually don't know how that works together, I guess, Nathan. I mean, because I was going to say, I actually don't know. Does Wisdom of the Ancient, does it? I imagine it would say a core chapter model, right? So you wouldn't actually get it with the free blades. Because I'm trying to think, like the chapter master rerolls. They say, I'm sure they say like, they would say like Blood Angels core unit, right? So the Knight's obviously not going to have a Blood Angels keyword, so yeah. Given their points cost, Centurions need core back. I guess Centurions lost core, right? Because of Ultramarines and Guilliman making them too strong, like they could just castle too hard, I think. But like I don't know if Assault Centurions needed to lose core, I guess, but like I guess that's typically what happens, is like something comes into the meta that breaks everything and then they fix it. One of the ways they try to fix it, I guess, was to remove the core keyword, and then but I mean, do Assault Centurions, I mean, if I was going to run Assault Centurions, I feel like you have to put them in a Land Raider, or you have to reserve them, and at that point, are they even going to be around somebody to give them Chapter Master rerolls, or reroll ones or something? Centurions don't have the -1 to hit from their weaponry, so I guess Centurions are just a bit of a risk. I mean, they're a strong unit, don't get me wrong. If you charge an enemy with the Centurions, you're going to be killing stuff. Even without core, I think Centurions are really, you're probably right, like Centurions are just really costly, like 55 points a model for the assault ones, and that's keeping them as cheap as possible, right? That's just with the flamers, no Hurricane Bolters, and the drills. Still a lot of points. If you compare them to, what are those sister units? Oh, you know the sister units with the sister units. It's been so long since I played. Do you know what? It's probably been 6 months since I played Sisters, maybe even more. I'll tell you what. Sisters of Battle. The Mortifiers, or is it the Penitent Engines? I think the Mortifiers have the heavy bolters, I think the Penitent Engines are just the melee ones. Yeah, they're 55 points as well. And they get to move 8, where Centurions only move 5. They get 1 more wound. Yes, their save is worse, but they also get like they also get like a 5+ feel no pain, and they get like a crazy amount of attacks with those buzz blades, right? Like it's like 8 attacks per model or something. And they also get to, when they declare a charge, they pile in and consolidate 2 inches extra. So like, when you actually compare Penitent Engines against Centurions, the fact that they're both like 55 points, yeah, I guess Penitent Engines cannot do, they can't do actions. But I mean, like, are you really doing actions with a 3-man Centurion squad? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're right. Centurions get their Centurions get Armor of Contempt. Penitent Engines wouldn't get it, but still, I think at 50, like both those units are 55 points. I think Penitent Engines have like a significant edge. Like, I played against Andrew when he ran like, I guess he ran like, what was it, 9 Mortifiers and 9 Penitent Engines. And like, they're just so hard to take down because they're all toughness 5. They all have a 5-up shrug. They all have 5 wounds, which I mean, when you're hitting stuff with 2 damage weapons, 5-up shrug is really, really good, I guess. I think I did beat that army. I think I played it twice, and I think I lost to it the first time because the first time I was just like, holy shit, he can just counter me so hard with all these, the flamers and the charge distances and everything. And the second time I did beat it, I think, but I feel like Penitent Engines at 55 points compared to Centurions at 55 points, I'd say that, like, in a straight up comparison, it feels like the Centurions are like at least 5 points, maybe even 10 points overcosted. I haven't actually seen very many Paragon War Suits in like any game. Like, I guess Sisters players, I mean, are Sisters players now running Paragon War Suits since Armor of Contempt changed? Because before then, like, no, like, I never saw Paragon War Suits. I think everybody thought they were overcosted. I mean, we saw Morgan Val in her Paragon War, which, I mean, I guess it's essentially as a character in a Paragon War Suit. But we really didn't see anyone running, or I didn't see anybody running Paragon War Suits. They literally never came up. Penitent Engines are very good, but damage 2 is so much worse against 3 wound models. True, but don't they get like 10 attacks, DTM, and don't they get to reroll all their hits? And yeah, I'm pretty sure they can get 10 attacks if you have the two melee weapons on them, right? Because they get double the attacks. It used to actually be pretty stupid. It used to actually be like you got like 12 attacks per model. I mean, 10 attacks per model is bad, but 12 was just ridiculous. I remember charging them one time, the first time I ever played Sisters, and like, you know, Andrew normally trolls me, and he was like, right, these guys get 12 attacks each. And I was like, yeah, funny, Andrew, how many attacks do they actually get? He was like, no, they get 12 attacks each. And I was like, and how much points are these? Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I do still think, like, if I played Sisters, I'd probably run a squad or 2 of Penitent Engines in reserve. I just think they're a nasty unit that it's just the fact that they reroll their hits that really makes them stand out to me. The engines get Armor of Contempt too, don't they? I don't know. Do they have the right keywords? Mortifiers get Armor of Contempt, the Penitents don't. Yeah. So, but I mean, Mortifiers are still decent. I like Mortifiers as well. I think they're both I think for the costs, I think both those units, for the costs, to me, on paper, the costs make them feel better than Centurions, honestly. I haven't run my Centurions in a long time. Which is sad, because I really was excited to finally get Centurions when we got made, like, codex compliant. Because I always looked at other armies that could have Centurions and was like, man, I really want some of those for Blood Angels. Maybe one day. We got to use them for about 5 minutes before they weren't viable again. Good evening, Sellers. How you doing? Nice to see you. I'm actually going to rematch Andrew on Monday against this Tau, and we're going to actually play the right map this time from the tournament, the same map with no forward deployment, because I think that if the terrain had been correctly placed, then I actually think like I could have given Tau a run for their money. So we're going to try and do that on Monday night. And I think, assuming that I've thought about it a few times in my head, because you know, you always think about losses more often than you think about defeats. I often think that, like, when I win a game, I never analyze it. I just walk away and was like, yeah, I played well, won the game, okay. But when you lose a game, you can spend a bit more time thinking about it. So I've replayed a few things in my head about that game and was like, yeah, I could have played that game a lot better. So I want to play the game against Tau again on the correct tournament layout map, and I think I should be able to win it. And I also think that maybe it could help make a video about, like, talking about deployment and stuff afterwards, because people often ask me, like, hey, you know, make a video on deployment or how you deploy and why you deploy stuff, and I always think that's quite arbitrary. Like, hey, just make a video on deployment, you know, like. But if it's like, hey, you know, this is a tournament map and this is how I'm deploying and why I'm deploying, then I feel like that's a video I can actually make. So maybe that'll be what's coming, like, next week or something. But I mean, maybe we're going to make this night video first, because I guess a lot of people have picked up the Night Codex, right? Aggressors instead of Centurions. If I had Flamer Aggressors, I would run them. Unfortunately, all my Aggressors are Bolt Storm. And somebody actually said this week, I think, in one of the channels, they were like, Bolt Storm Aggressors are good. I just don't see it, I guess. Like, Bolters are just... I mean, Bolters are Strength 4, 0 AP. In my, like... Bolters don't kill shit, ever, it feels like. I mean, occasionally you pluck a wound off something. That's literally all I feel Bolters ever do. Is that 3 Tau games in a row you've opted into, you masochist? Yes, but I'm pretty sure that I should be able to win this one, DTM. So I'll take the victory when it's 3-2 against Blood, for 3-2 for Blood Angels against the Tau. That's the goal here, right? Well, based on the math that we recently did, Aggressors are actually pretty decent, right, in terms of survivability. If you compare them against, like... Yeah, I mean, if you've got the cheaper of the Aggressors, the Flamestorm ones, I think a 3-man squad of Flamestorm Aggressors, like, I kind of like it. I should have magnetized my Aggressors. I'm an idiot. This is where every time you scrimp on doing the magnets, it comes back to bite you in the ass. Pretty sure I'd run Assault Centurions over Flame Aggressors myself, just based on the profile. I mean, I guess the one thing the Centurions maybe have going for them is, like you said, the 3 damage weapons, and they can actually go in a I was gonna say a decent transport. Would you call a Land Raider Crusader a decent transport? Transports are in such a weird place for Marines. Like, they all just feel a bit crap, don't they? I mean, I think the Crusader is probably the least bad. I mean, I still don't think it's good, I just think it's the least bad option, right? Craig says, hey, where do I live? I live in Scotland, Craig. Right up in the north. About 5 miles from the North Sea. Brian says, just finished painting up a squad of Eradicators, can't wait to try them out for the first time. Nice, Brian, congrats on finishing the squad. I played Eradicators the last two or 3 weeks now. They're very decent. Transhuman, and if you can get them to be in cover, it can be quite darn survivable. I had a little bit of unluckiness in one of my games against Tau, but I still like them a lot. Yeah, I did think it was strange that they made Aggressors -1 to hit. You know, like, for Aggressors, their fists are kind of like built right into their suits, I guess. I guess you could argue the same about Terminators, but it feels even more so with Aggressors because their guns are attached to their fists. It's just like, here's a unit that's main thing is guns attached to the fists, but for whatever reason the fists have -1 to hit. I'm not sure the fists needed -1 to hit on the Aggressors. But we'll see. I mean, the changes they made to Aggressors completely dropped them out of the meta. Like, even as a Blood Angels player, in when did Aggressors come out? Were Aggressors in 8th edition, or were they just 9th? I feel like they were 8th, right? Yeah, they must have been 8th, because in 9th that's when they changed all the rules. I used to run Aggressors all the time. Just one squad of 3, and I felt like you could get a ton of value out of them because of the double shoot stratagem, or the double shoot ability, where it was like, if they don't move, they could shoot their guns twice. I used to always just try and get them into the middle of the board, and then like one turn or something, I'd just be like, yeah, I'm just going to stand still and I'm going to, each Aggressor is going to get like 18 bolter shots. I mean, I complain a lot about bolters, but like, if you've got a unit where each guy gets 18 shots, then it was pretty great. And I guess, when I say 18 bolter shots, it wasn't 18 bolter shots, it was, what was it? It was 6 bolter shots and then D6 frag storms. But the frag storms are also strength 4, 0 AP, 1 damage. So essentially it's the exact same profile as the bolter. So you ended up with the equivalent of, like, on average 10 strength 4, 0, 1 damage, and you got to shoot twice. So that's where I'm coming up with 18 bolter shots. But in 8th, I like them a lot. Frank says, I'm trying to put together a jump pack themed list. Would you recommend Death Company or Vanguard vets after the Armor of Contempt upgrade? I did a video, Frank. I'm trying to think what the video was called. Fuck. Was it not called like Winners or Losers? Armor of Contempt. I'm sure if you search Blood Angels Commander Armor of Contempt, I made a video where I compared the math of the survivability of all their units basically post Armor of Contempt, or all the jump units post Armor of Contempt. I also included like Terminators, I also included Blade Guard veterans. Oh, do you know what? It was actually this week's video on, or last week's video on I guess I've made 2 videos about that. I think I did one on Armor of Contempt and I did one on Storm Shields. And personally, I'm not a big fan. Like, I don't run Death Company, so this is kind of a biased argument for me where, like, I prefer Vanguard veterans, but I seem to always gravitate to units that I believe are going to be more survivable. My strategy in the game is to really hang on till turn 3, and then in turn 3 when we move the entire army into Assault Doctrine, make a bunch of charges and win the game on turn 3. Or turn 3 and 4, I guess. So I'm not a huge Death Company person, but I bet a bunch of people in this channel would advise going Death Company. So I mean, I guess that's really, you could go either way on that, I feel like. I feel like a lot of Gravis units are cool, but I'll stick with Eradicators for now. That's fair enough. We talk a lot about Gravis on the channel, but I think that my main thing with Gravis is I would like to see Inceptors change so they don't kill themselves when they fire the plasmas. Because they're the one unit that seem like they'd be very, very useful. But like, I just hate models that kill themselves. Again, this probably comes back to my plan of like having my army as survivable as possible, while models that kill themselves aren't survivable. And I don't run a priest at the moment. I don't really feel like I necessarily really even want to run a priest either, so based on that I want models that are survivable, and if they kill themselves, I guess they're not survivable, right? Death Company look cooler, says Sellers. Yeah, sure, okay, Death Company look cooler. They're cheap and intimidating, says John. I guess that's true as well. They can force your opponent to do some random stuff if you deploy a squad of Death Company far forward and make it look like you're going to Forlorn Fury into the enemy in turn 1. That can certainly be a valid strategy as well. I feel like I might have played Death Company this edition, but if I hadn't started playing Terminators and feeling like I actually really like Terminators. And Terminators maybe just fit more with my ethos of like, I don't try and win the game in turn 1. I mean, some people do try and win the game early, right? I typically don't. But yeah, if you are going to run Death Company, heavy on the Thunderhammers is what I would advise. I think that's what a lot of people would say as well. You probably want like 3 Thunderhammers in every 5 models. It used to be 2, I think, in every 5, but more recently we've been seeing people have more success at tournaments and stuff with like 3 Thunderhammers every 5 models. So that's probably the way to go right now. Why don't you run Death Company, John? I mean, I've got a bunch of them painted, and I did actually start painting 2 more with Thunderhammers right after Armor Contempt come out, but like, I think I just don't like the idea of, I think there's been too many times where I've ran Forlorn Fury units and I've not traded well enough. So if you're not gonna, if you aren't getting the trades out of the Death Company and the Forlorn Fury, then I guess it can be hard to decide if you want to keep them in your list. I guess that's probably where I am with it. Also, I mean, I like having stuff in reserve. Every tournament I've gone to, I've had stuff in reserve, so I guess it's a choice. Like, are you going to go for that first turn 1 Alpha Strike, or are you going to put some stuff in reserve? I think there's validity in both. So summer has finally come here in Scotland, by the way. And it feels good, you know? After the whatever... Because our winter usually starts in like October. Because we're like right... I mean, we're as close in the UK as you can get without being like next to Iceland and Greenland that are just up north a little bit. So our winter usually starts in like September. Probably the end of September, winter has started. And then it's only now, the 10th of May or the 14th of May, I think it was today, that it feels like summer has come. So I'm going to enjoy my 3.5 months of nice weather this year. Scotland could be a bit grim, I'll tell you. Yeah, so some people like to do more early game pressure with the Death Company. I think it's a playstyle choice. My playstyle is much more defensive and reactive, I think, than... It's just a different way to play the game, I guess. I think both ways are pretty useful for Blood Angels. Good afternoon. I'm doing well tonight, thank you for asking. Just cracking on with lots of different bits and bobs, putting some base colours down on these incursors. Quite enjoying not doing a really intricate squad of Terminators, I guess. Why are Firstborn Scouts elites? I mean, it's a good question. Why are they elites? Games Workshop, yes, they changed them to elites in 9th edition. I guess it was so people couldn't spam them as troop choices, or they wanted Space Marines to have to pay more points for troops. Maybe it was they didn't want troops with sniper rifles. I actually really don't know. I don't think Scouts as troops was ever like a real problem, Phil. Like, I don't remember people going like, oh my god, Scouts as troops, it's so overpowered. Like, I don't think that was said by anyone ever. It's 95 degrees in SoCal today, and it's not summer yet. Where is SoCal? Is Southern California? Like, what city is that? Benno's got 10 incursors to paint as well. I actually have 15 incursors to completely paint up. I got a bunch in progress. You wanted to get rid of the super cheap troop option. They're not even that cheap. I think they're like 14 points per model. Like, they really aren't even that cheap. Oh, excuse me. Long day. I got up very early this morning. Saturday, I think. Scouts literally blow things up behind enemy lines, melt the bombs. We don't see Scouts running melta bombs all that. I mean, I guess some people are still running Scouts. I haven't run Scouts since they took them out of the troop slot. I feel like we had too many other good elite choices to pick from. I mean, I guess some people might have still been running Scouts. I know a couple of tournament winning lists maybe had like one squad of Scouts instead of Landspeeder Storm as a cheap option. But I don't know. Yeah, I hope your back gets better as well, brother. Stuff like that, trapped nerves and stuff, it's always rough. DTM thinks they should be like the sisters troop choices, where you can take them, but you can't take more than other troops. That'd probably be a decent way. I mean, you got to remember the Space Marine Codex was like one of the first books for 9th edition. I guess that like basically mistakes were made, right? That's what it feels like. Will the mistakes be fixed, I guess, is the big question that we're all hoping to get an answer to. I just picked up a squad of Terminators and Vanguard vets trying to decide the loadout now with Armor of Contempt. I mean, that's tough. I would say Magnets is the best loadout. Like, I was literally just 20 minutes before you came in the stream complaining that I didn't magnetize my Aggressors, and now I have 6 fully painted Aggressors that have sat in a shelf for 2 years and literally are never going to see the light of day unless they change Aggressors to be the Bolter Aggressors to be any good again. So magnets. If there is weapon options, definitely think about magnets. I'm running Terminators at the moment. I think Thunderhammer and Storm Shields are good. I'm running Vanguard Vets at the moment. I think Lightning Claws and Storm Shields are still good, but yeah, you do maybe want to think about the magnets. Hey Oscar, I've got a question about Assault Terminators. Would it be better to give the Sergeant Lightning Claws over the Hammer, or is the Hammer not included for the Sergeant? I prefer the Hammer to be on the Sergeant because you get that extra attack. And an extra attack doing 3 damage is probably better than an extra attack that does 1 damage, right? Something as well that we don't mention enough is that Sergeant can Mastercraft his Hammer. So you could have that Sergeant with a 4 damage Hammer. I mean, he gets 5 attacks once you get to turn 3. So you're saying that the Sergeant with a Mastercrafted Hammer could do 20 damage. I guess if he was Mastercrafted Lightning Claw, he could do probably about 14. So I guess it depends on how much value you give, like, Lightning Claws and the reroll for wounds. But then the thing to say about that is, like, the Thunderhammer strength 8 with +1 to wounds, so like toughness 7, you're still wounding on 2s. So my opinion is the Thunderhammer and the Sergeant is the correct play, but yeah. Do GW even care about scouts? I feel like there's GW care about Primaris. Like, I don't know how much they care about Firstborn and scouts and that sort of stuff now. I'm actually kind of surprised that they've made Terminators as good as they, you know, like the Armor of Contempt change made Terminators like a really strong and viable unit, and I'm actually kind of surprised that that was a thing that happened, because like Terminators are a Firstborn unit, and typically it almost feels like Firstborn don't really get buffs anymore. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised by that, but I don't know if it was just like, I don't know if Armor of Contempt is a band-aid fix, essentially, right? I mean, I saw somebody on Twitter this week, Wolveden, that said that they bought models off eBay that had the barrels drilled, and the first thing that they did was they got green stuff and they filled in the barrels. And I mean, I thought long and hard about that, and then I decided that person is a champion. I'm joking. I just don't know if I have the time or energy to drill my barrels. I've never done it. But I did actually see someone say that on Twitter, that they bought a bunch of models with the barrels drilled and filled them. I sent that comment to Tony to just wind him up, because he's one of these people that's like, you must drill your barrels or you're dead to me. Nathan said, I'm going to make some heirloom using Reaver heads, Assault Intercessors bodies, and Sanguinary Guard jump packs. I have no idea what heirloom are. You're going to have to tell me. Man, some of these joints are pretty difficult to paint, even on these bigger Primaris models. You gotta be very accurate. DTM says AOC was 100% a band-aid fix. Yeah, so based on that... Yeah, that's why I was surprised, I guess, that Terminators got buffed, right? Because, like... They typically don't buff Firstborn models anymore. It feels like, anyway. You know, if... I honestly haven't watched any content on Warhammer Plus in, like, 6 months. It's just been a lot more difficult to find the time. But like the battle reports that I did watch in the last 6 months, like it was, you know, those battle reports were basically adverts to get you to buy Primaris models. Like the Primaris were I wouldn't say they're the focus of the battle report, but like they did a Blood Angels battle report where it was like basically all Primaris and Sanguinary Guard, right? The Erlim or Astrath's buddies. Do you know what? I've not read the Astrath book yet. I bought it, but I've not read it. I started reading Mephiston Blood of Sanguinius. I'm only like a couple of chapters in, but so far it seems okay. I'm pumped for the next novel in the Dante series. Have they said anything about that next Dante novel? Like, has it got any ETA? Do we know anything at all? I'm pumped for it as well. I really like Darkness in the Blood. Some people didn't like Darkness in the Blood so much, but I don't really know why. I liked it. That was a good book. See, that's one of the things that I feel like, Foz, is I actually kind of... I don't hate using apps on my mobile phone, but like, I grew up as much more like PC orientated person. Like, if I want to do some online shopping, I would much rather do it on the PC than like a mobile phone. Just because you can open up multiple tabs and you can search for things quicker, and yeah, I'm much more of a PC person. I guess I use Battlescribe to create all my lists, which is again a PC app. So I'm not like... I know Warhammer Plus has their own battle maker, whatever, but like I don't really want to be doing that shit on my phone. Like my phone's got a tiny screen. You know, it's called a phone because it's a phone, right? I actually, one of my credit card actually took away the PC app that they had and was like, you can only manage your credit card on your phone now. I was like, oh my god, what a load of shit. Like, I don't want to see my credit card statement on my phone. I want to see it on my computer screen where I can actually see the statement, as opposed to seeing like, I don't know, like, why do I want to look at like a credit card bill comes on like 2 A4 pages, right? Why the fuck do I want to look on that phone and not on my computer screen? You know, like, and I guess like that's what I think about the Warhammer app, right? It's like I want to look at the Army Maker on a decent sized monitor as opposed to my phone screen. So I paid for the year up front of Warhammer Plus. I would say that like I 100% haven't got my money out of it. I've barely used it. Battlescribe exists for phones too. Yeah, I know some people like Battlescribe on the phone. Don't get me wrong, if you enjoy using it on your phone, don't make me stop you doing it, by all means. But I'm just saying, like, I'm of the generation where I grew up with computers and screens and mouse and keyboard, and I feel like if I'm making an army list, I would much rather do it on a computer than on my phone. Mephiston Trilogy is solid 7 out of 10. Well, yeah, I'm getting into it. It's been a little while since I did a Warhammer book. I finished Solar War, which is the first book in the Horus Heresy Siege of Terra series. But I found that book kind of like a little bit difficult to deal with. It's obviously written like from the perspective of chaos, and there's a lot of like weird warpy things going on in the book, and it can be a little bit hard to follow. So after I'd done that book, I took a break actually and read 2 Star Wars novels. I still like the old Star Wars legend stuff, you know, like all the old novels before Disney came in and changed everything. I'm still a fan of the old Star Wars stuff, so I got through a couple of old Star Wars books. What model did you pick with your Warhammer Plus subscription? I mean, I picked the 40k Assassin, but I haven't received my Assassin. Even though I paid for the year up front, like I don't know when I get my Assassin. It must be coming up to the end of the first year though, so I imagine they're going to have to ship them pretty soon. But I mean, it's a Vindicator Assassin. I don't really run Assassins that often. So I guess it'll just go on to the backlog of other stuff that needs to be painted. I bought the one thing that I did like in Warhammer Plus was Angels of Death TV show. I liked that a lot. I actually need to finish that because I didn't quite finish it because I was in the middle of watching it, and then like that's when my son was born. But I bought like a Deathwing. No, not a Deathwing. A Death Watch upgrade sprue kit. So like I've got a couple of Death Watch Terminator shoulder pads and a couple of other Death Watch pieces now. So I don't have, like, none of my guys in my current army have anything like Death Watch on them. Like I don't have a single guy that's got like a Death Watch shoulder pad or anything like that. So now I will have the ability to make a couple. So I'm looking forward to making a couple of conversions at some point. Don't really have any time skill on that, but it's something that I'm going to do. I can't always be in a computer, and I can always be in my mobile phone. Yeah, I guess I understand that, Terrence, but what I'm just asking is, like, can the app not have a version? Like, by all means, keep the app that can be on the mobile phone. I don't have a problem with it being there on the phone. What I have a problem with is there's no version of it for the PC, right? Because that's what I want, I guess, is I want a version of it for the PC that I can use. You know, like if I could sit down for a half hour at a computer and make an army list. I mean, that's how I've always made army lists. That's how I want to make an army list. If I was struggling and I had to make an army list on my phone, don't get me wrong, I think it's great you can do that. But I guess my point is, like, I would want to be able to make it on my computer. So at the moment, what happens is I have the Warhammer app, I've had it for a year, but 9 times out of 10 when I'm going to make an army list, I'll set myself, like, I'll be like, right, you know, I need to make a new army list. I'll go to a computer and then I'll make it there, you know? And yes, I'm sure I've made a couple lists from my phone. I've had an idea or something and been like, you know, like, alright, I'll make an army list. Here's an idea. But yeah, I guess it's just my opinion. I think it's good that GW are finally moving to digital rule, or digital. The points costs for the models are going to be digital. That's what I'm trying to say. I think that's great. I think that's overdue. I think that will help a lot, I guess. And I wonder, is that going to make chapter... My hope is that that makes the new chapter approved book cheaper. I don't know if that'll actually happen. Evening Toasty, good evening, how you doing? I did see that they're making boxes of weapons for Horus Heresy. Maybe we're going to get some for 40k. I think that would be super cool. I just make battlescribe lists on my PC and then send it to myself on Discord and transfer the file to my phone. Well, I mean, that's cool, you can do... I didn't actually know you could do that. But yeah, no, I just typically make the lists on my PC and then send them through like Facebook Messenger to whoever I'm playing, and then if I want them on my phone, I can just load up Facebook Messenger and get it that way, right? Digital points and only a decade late. Very on brand for Games Workshop. Well, at least we're getting it. At least we're getting digital points. I really, really hope that that means chapter approved is a little cheaper, because last year it felt... Well, I don't know if it was last year, I guess earlier this year, where we had to pay $25 for like basically like 5 new secondaries and 5 new missions, and the new chapter approved didn't even have the rules in it, which is really annoying because now it means you have to carry both the new and the old edition around with you. I was really disappointed by chapter approved. I mean, I like that they made new missions and I like that they changed the scoring and stuff, but like, I really disliked that they didn't put the rules into chapter approved and they charged us so much for it. And I still had to carry around last year's chapter approved. I think Mark and Tony in protest actually set last... No, I was going to say... I think they were planning to go to Games Workshop with last year's chapter approved and just like hand it in and be like, well, do you want to recycle this or something? I originally thought maybe we talked about in protest like setting fire to last year's chapter approved. Because you still need them for the damn rules, then I guess that's not really an option, right? They won't make their DLC books any cheaper, even though they're cutting out half the content. It won't be any cheaper. Even though they're cutting out half the content and they still want us to buy it every 6 months now. I was actually surprised at how expensive the Knight Codex was, because I bought that this week, right? And I had to check, because like, I went to put it in my basket and it was like £32 UK, which is probably like $40. And bear in mind, like, in these new codexes, I read about 10 pages. I read like the chapter tactics, the warlord traits, the relics, so that's like 6 pages, and then the data sheets. So there's only like 6 data sheets for knights, maybe 10. So I only need 16 pages for this book. And it was £32, so it's basically £2 a page. I was like, man, the books are pretty expensive these days, aren't they? Toasty Devil had a good 5k run and he's now back alternate working on both my armies. Good Saturday so far. Do you know what? I did a 5-mile hike this morning, Toasty Devil. I was on the top of a hill at like 5. I think it was like 10:15 or something. It was very early. I set off very early this morning. I don't often get an opportunity to do hill walking because of the young kids. So I grabbed it this morning. They'll put a few more pictures and price it the same. Ugh. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it won't be long before we need a new chapter approved, and I think I only just play, because I only play 1 game a week, right? And we always roll off, and because there's like 10 missions, I guess. There's only 26 weeks in a half year, so I actually only played one of the missions for the first time, like this weekend past, or this week past. So it's almost like I'm just gonna have played every mission one time. I'm sure I've played a couple of them a couple of times. I've just got to a point where like I kind of know the missions, and then it's going to be like bang, new book. Does anyone know if agents of the Imperium get stratagems? I haven't used them before and I can't work out what I have read. Knights have great strat in which you can guarantee vehicles exploding. You're talking about if the Knights specifically get stratagems, because other agents of Imperium definitely get stratagems, right? Because, like, for example, your 4 assassins 100% can play stratagems. Your Inquisitors, etc., 100% can play stratagems. So I imagine that if it says like 1 Imperial Knight on the stratagem, then you can play them. Toasty said he's pushing. I'm pushing 42, Toasty. I'll be 40 next year, actually. I'll be 39 this year. But yeah, exactly. As you get older, you gotta take care of your body. It's your mortal coil, I guess, right? So yeah, I enjoy hill walking, but yeah, as much as I enjoy it, a good part of the motivation is like exercise, and I am getting older, so I need to exercise more. But good for you, getting out and running. It's always hard to get... Exercise never easy, I find. Never easy to find the time, never easy to motivate for it. It's the belief it's the detachments that grant stratagems, so if the Knight detachment, you should be able to use Knight strats in addition to your Blood Angel strats. So it sounds like you should be able to. I'm gonna talk to Tony and Mark, and we're gonna make a video on the Knight stuff. And we'll try and make sure we've got all the correct informations. Because, yeah, just flicking through the Knight's book earlier, I was getting confused. So I need to have a Skype call or a Zoom call or whatever we call it with Tony and Mark and go over it all, and then we'll get the video together and we'll share it. Hill walking seems a very UK thing to do, right? Here in Canada, most people just go walking on trails in their city or nearby forest. Yeah, I mean, in the north of Scotland, we just have a lot of hills. So sometimes by all means, we would go trail walking, but it's almost like every second trail has a hill attached to it, even if the hill can be quite small. So I guess we would talk about hill walking even if it's a very small hill, right? But yeah, I mean, a lot of people do enjoy hill walking here in Scotland. What are you picking up? Well, that's just the thing. I mean, like I said, I only had about 10 minutes to look at the book today because I had a lot going on. I mean, we only moved into this house when did we move house? Last October, and there's like 1 million jobs still to do on the house. So like on a Saturday, like I went hill walking, then I came home and had to go and get some, had to run some errands for the wife, and then I'm working on the garden at the moment. I'm trying to make the garden not a shithole, basically. So yeah, because we're kind of new to this house, there's 1 million jobs to do, so I haven't really had a chance to look at the Knight Codex today. I would have liked to, but yeah, I haven't really had a chance. When I figure out what Knight I'm buying, I will 100% let you guys know, though. It's going to come down to points, probably. It's going to come down to some sort of... Because I'm still probably going to want to run like 4 elite squads of Blood Angels, maybe even 5. So if you want to run 5 squads of BA jump pack / assault units, then it might end up having to just literally be the cheapest Knight. And I think that you're probably going to want the Knight to do firepower rather than do melee. We already do melee pretty good, right? It's firepower that we seem to struggle with. I mean, that was what my video was on this week about, like... Yeah, I mean, if if Inceptors didn't kill themselves when they fire, I feel like they would actually be like a really viable shooting option, but I really just hate how they kill themselves. My bet is that I buy an Astraeus. I do want an Astraeus DTM. I do want a Knight as well though, and I mean a Knight's a bit cheaper, right? I actually recently ordered a Terrax. What's it called? The Terrax? Is it just called the Terrax Siege Drill or the Terrax Drill or something like that? I ordered a Terrax a few weeks ago, so. Oh, and I ordered an Ironclad Dreadnought because I don't have one. I think Ironclad Dreadnought probably got better again. Another unit that got quite a bit of benefit out of Armor of Contempt, maybe. I mean, technically the Death Company Dreadnought got valuable out of Armor of Contempt, but like, I have other problems with the Death Company Dreadnought. Like, why has it not got the core rule? Most Questoris will run 420, 425 points. I might just take a Canis Rex for 440, he's a steal. Can't make any purchases for Battle Brother or Super Chat. How do you fix it? Terrence, are you on iOS? Because that's usually the problem. I think melee is an option, especially with the guaranteed exploding stratagems. Yeah, I mean, I guess melee is an option, Nathan. I guess what I was just trying to point out is that we already have, like, lots of good melee options, right? So, like, would it be better to just have a Knight that's based on shooting and let the Knight do the shooting? If the enemy wants to shoot all their guns back at the Knight, it'll have an invulnerable save because it's got those ion shields. It gives it the 5+ invulnerable save. It's going to have toughness 8 likely. It's going to have a shitload of wounds. So they're going to have to plow a lot of stuff in to kill it. Meanwhile, does that not just create space for all of our jump stuff? That's how I see a Knight working. Similar to when I used to play the super heavy tank a lot. I mean, the super heavy tank didn't actually have to do that much work. It just had to soak up a ton of enemy firepower, and then I would win the game just because they would be so determined, I guess, to try and deal with a super heavy tank that, like, the rest of my stuff would just take over the game, right? Terraxes are really cool. I mean, Terraxes are even better for Blood Angels, right, DTM? Because we can make them on a 3+ weapon skill, or a 3+ to hit, right? And they don't degrade. Like, so even if they've got 1 wound left, their weapon skill's still 3+. We can get 5 attacks because of, like, Shock Assault and Savage Echoes. And I guess we could get extra AP in there as well. And we get the +1 to charge. So I actually think, like, Terrax is actually a really cool unit for Blood Angels. And I guess that's before you start putting stuff inside it. Obviously, you can put a bunch of stuff inside it. I used my Ironclad for the first time this evening. Seismic Hammer for flat 5 damage was great. Yeah, I mean, I guess Ironclads are another big winner, I think, from Armor of Contempt change, you know that? That's why I bought one, I guess. I would like to run a Death Company Dread, but the 6-inch movement is a no-no. I mean, you can reserve it, I guess, but you're right. The Death Company Dread has a lot of problems. I'm military, but stationed in Japan. I'm not sure if the currency may be the issue or not. I mean, I guess? I don't know, Terrence. I've never had someone tell me about that problem before. I mean, you could maybe send in a support ticket to YouTube and ask. like it might be in a problem with your account because you're in like a country that's like maybe you're like in a maybe you have like a US credit card and you're in a different country and they're seeing a problem with it. Typically the only one I'm aware of is an iOS. You can't become a member on iOS because Apple don't let you become a member because they want their 30% and YouTube aren't willing to give them their 30% cut or whatever, however that works basically. Because if you buy anything off the Apple store, they take 30%, right? So you can't subscribe to YouTube on Apple devices because Apple can't get their 30%. I mean, I think it's ridiculous, honestly. Like, I like Apple. They're like I use an iPhone. They're like the giantest company in the world. They make like hundreds of billions of profit every quarter or whatnot. But because they can't get like $1 of someone subscribing on YouTube, they don't let anyone subscribe. So stupid. I always forget GW delivers to stores. I know here in the UK, James, they actually changed their policy as well during COVID, where they free delivery now for things of £40. So like one book and like one upgrade sprue now is £40. So you can get almost free delivery on just about anything from Games Workshop now, as long as you're willing to like add one other thing to your basket. So you get free delivery to the store and you get free delivery, home delivery for £40, and it's very, very easy to spend £40, I guess. What do you about Gabriel Seth with Lightning Claw Terminators for 2 damage, Lightning Claws, and 6s to wound? I mean, the problem, I guess, with that is, like, how are you delivering them? Like, I think it's great. I mean, I guess you could do, like, I think if you were going to do Terminator... Is Terminator's the right call? Would you not do Vanguard Veterans with Seth in a drop pod? You know, like... I don't know how you deliver Seth and Terminators. I mean, I guess you could deliver Seth in a reserve and the Terminators on Deep Strike, but yeah, I think Seth is a good character. I just think his problem is his slowness. So you need a way to deliver him. And I guess that's the tricky part, right? You have to sign in on Google, that's how I subscribe, says the Dagger. Alright, thanks for... Maybe, is that what you're doing wrong, Terrence? Are you subscribed in on Google? Ironclad Dredge have a 2+ armor makes 0 sense. I mean, a 3+ armor with the new Armor of Contempt rules I think is actually kind of fine for the Ironclad, because his toughness of 8 is going to help him out a lot as well, right? So I actually think the Ironclad is fine on a 3-up save. I think he's gonna be a beast. I guess we'll see, but like E8 means that, you know, it's just that much harder to wound him, I guess. But yeah, the Furioso Dreadnought and the Death Company Dreadnought only having a 6-inch move, I think, is just... I think Games Workshop should have thought about that more, because those are 2 Dreadnoughts that only work if they get in melee. And like, the way it stands is like, neither of them can really effectively get into melee. I don't know how I feel about like reserving like Company Dreadnought or something like that. I just don't know if it just, to me it doesn't feel that effective. You know, like someone was asking like, would you reserve like the Centurions? And I'm like, I don't know. It's CPs are pretty valuable. I don't know how I feel about blowing a bunch of CPs to reserve something that may or may not make its charge roll, right? Blood Angel did advance in charge. I mean, even if we just did one stratagem that let us do that. We also used to have that one last edition where we could make a charge on 3d6 once per turn. I think if you'd arrived from Deep Strike, you were allowed to charge on 3d6. I think that was kind of huge. I think losing that really sucks. I mean, it was a CP hog, sure, but it was worth it. I guess we were just waiting to see what they come up with for us, right? 2 CP for Dread Reserve is steep. Is that how, like, has it got power level more than 9? The Death Company Dread? Will Horus Heresy 2.0 see a plastic Dreadnought drop pod? I think we're going to see lots more stuff in plastic. I just think it's going to take a long time, right? Because, like, if you think, like, we're in 8th... Well, Primaris models came out in 8th edition. We're now probably 18 months, maybe even 24 months. Not quite 24. I think we're like 18 months. Well, we're 18 months since the Blood Angels Codex came out, so we're probably 20 months into 9th edition. And 20 months in, we still only have like one Blood Angels Primaris model, right? So if it's taken them 20 months to give us one model, like, I think it's going to take a long time for like for all the plastic Forge World stuff you guys want to come out, right? Terrence, I really appreciate you trying to sort out membership. I do. Thank you so much. Hopefully you can figure out what's wrong with your account. I think GW plans on releasing different combat variant Dread for Primaris. Our next book will have upgrades to make them Furioso or DC. Well, I mean, that's certainly not anything that I've heard, but it sounds cool. I guess we'll have to wait and see, right? I noticed that the Knights book has those sort of same like 20-30 point upgrades that the Black Templars books had and stuff, so maybe one of the things that we're going to get more of in the future is like this ability to customize individual units or squads or characters with like a point upgrade. And I kind of like it. I think if that's something that you're going to go with, I think that could be pretty cool. I mean, that seems like they've done it 2 codexes in a row now, so maybe it is something that they're... Well, maybe not 2 codexes in a row. I guess Black Templars wasn't quite in a row in terms of with the Knights. But yeah, it does seem like it's like a conscious thing where they're like, right, these sort of little upgrades, I forget what they're calling them. In the Black Templars book, they call them like relics. Not like... Sorry, they called them relic bearers. That was it, wasn't it? Reziel, enjoy your fajitas. It's 5 to midnight, guys, and I am pretty tired today, so I'm going to be stopping streaming at midnight. I'm going to be back tomorrow night to look at army lists, though. We always look at army lists on a Sunday evening, so that, you know, the show will be live tomorrow night. Usually live for about 90 minutes on a Sunday evening. Well, you know, the last few episodes have probably been more like 2 hours. But the aim is usually 90 minutes. I guess on Sundays sometimes we go off on some tangents and we just talk and talk and talk. It's a fun show. If you did enjoy tonight's stream, I would appreciate it if you hit that like button. And if you are free tomorrow night, come hang out while we talk about army lists. Um, hopefully, I won't have any patience. What's your job, Stellars? What are you up to? Patience? Thanks for hanging out, Highland Phoenix. I do appreciate it. I'm starting to feel like these incursors are not looking too shabby. We got maybe 5 or 6 colours on here now. We get some of them with a second coat of grey in places. Fo says I always learn something in the Army List show. Do you know what? Sometimes I learn stuff in the Army List show. Every day is a school day. Children's X-ray tech. Wow. Okay, that sounds pretty advanced. I think those incursors will stop here for now on them. See if these Sanguinary Guard need a quick bit of paint. Faces look like they dried okay. Very simple, these bases, but I think they work. You get to paint at work and you love it. Nice, yeah, I mean these golden boys need a ton of work. I'm probably gonna just finally finish like this next squad of Sanguinary Guard, and I bet you they release Primaris Sanguinary Guard, and that's gonna break my heart in some ways because I get so many Firstborn painted. But I guess if it happens, it happens. I guess we should. Overall, I'm sure I'll be happy. I have wanted Primaris Sanguinary Guard. Sanguinary Guard with 3 wounds. Primaris Sanguinary Guard with 3 wounds. That's the dream, right? That is the dream. They look good. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I feel like there's heaps still to do on them. Like I just do base colors to begin with, and then take it from there. Yeah, these guys have got so much to do on them. I'm probably gonna do a bit more on the incursors over the next couple of weeks. I'll probably base these guys maybe next week, and then I might work on those Sanguinary Guard a little bit. It would be. I do include incursors in literally every army list, so it would be nice to just finish the 10-man of them. I do have 5 more, but yeah. Alright, I will catch you guys tomorrow night. Thank you so much for watching tonight. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. 9:30 UK time tomorrow night. We'll look at army lists. And then Monday night, 7:30 UK time, we'll have the 3rd match against Tau. And I swear we're definitely going to beat him in this 3rd matchup. And then we can just declare that Blood Angels are for once better than Tau. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. By the blood, are we made strong. Peace.